Good morning, everybody. Stereo Police. Working on the 86. Working on the 86. That there is an 85. This here is a 2011. That there is an 86. And this one's a little interesting because I bought this as a parts truck and it was ready to go to the junkyard, but it just won't die. So because it won't die, it's running like crap, but it won't die, and it still runs, I thought I would use it as this truck as my teacher. I want to learn more about it, how to work on these Ram square bodies. I have a lot to learn, so this is going to be my university right here. Ram University. So I'm starting out trying to figure out why it runs like crap. It runs, but it runs very poorly. So I'm starting out with the electrical system. I put a new distributor cap on there, a new rotor. Everything else in the distributor looked pretty good. The reluctor looked pretty good. The pickup looked good. And obviously the plug wires are removed. They were in bad shape. So I've got new plug wires all matched up. I didn't bother taking an ohms reading on them because they were just, I could just feel them, and the dielectric on these things, they're very old. And so rather than just avoid the risk of arcing, I got some new ones, and just feeling the dielectric, just feeling it, perfect, great shape. And the dielectric, these are just shot right here. I wouldn't doubt if those were arcing. I wouldn't doubt it one bit. That dielectric is shot. They're old. You can see that there's a lot of corrosion in here. And look at that knob in the middle, just shot. Focus. So this distributor cap hadn't been changed in a while. The rotor, not so bad. The end is pretty bad. A lot of carbon there. Anyway, got some new ones on. Already replaced the plugs. Those are new spark plugs. Coil. That's where the coil needs to go. I'm going to replace the coil. Critical component. One of the things that was happening is as I gave it some acceleration, it would just bog down. It would lope. So, could be the secondary. The coil. I don't know. But these are things I wanted to do anyway. I'm not trying to be just a parts changer. That's not my point here. I do want to learn to diagnose, and I do know how to diagnose, but these are things I want to do anyway. I had the coil laying around. The distributor cap and rotor are something that obviously needed to be done. I just showed you what it looked like. The battery box, the battery tray was really, really rusty. It sat right here, so I pulled that out. And I gave it a good once over with a wire brush, put some primer on there, and sprayed it with some black epoxy paint. Got to reinstall that. There's the new coil right there. It's a new old coil, but it's a new coil. But it's coil. It's about 6 months old. There's the new coil. I can't find the new capacitor for it, but I'm going to test that one right there. That's the existing capacitor. I cleaned it up. Computer. Looky here. Look at here. This Ram has a spark control computer, not your traditional 4-wire ignition module that you normally see in these Rams, somewhere back up over there or mounted over there. This spark control computer is over here, hidden behind the battery. In fact, I was scratching my head for a while. I was like, how can this thing run without an ignition module? Well, this guy is tucked back, way back up into there. There's actually a vacuum line running to it. So this spark control module takes in a lot of different sensors, sensor information, including vacuum from the carburetor. And this will set the vacuum advance curve accordingly. Let's put it that way. And it also controls this Holley feedback, 2-barrel feedback carburetor. It will control certain aspects of that as well. So this spark control computer works in unison with this Holley feedback carburetor to control emissions, along with the air pump as well. So it's a whole emissions control thing. Probably saves a mile or two to the gallon as well. I'd rather have the traditional 4-wire ignition module over this thing, but because there's more to go wrong, but I'm stuck with it. So because I have no way of testing this thing, and what I felt with the loping and the bogging down when you give it some gas, it could be either a fuel problem, but it felt to me like a vacuum advance issue. Something wrong with the vacuum advance curve. The initial timing felt good. The final timing, the total timing, feels good when I get it going. It's that intermediate bogging down that just feels like a vacuum advance issue. So I went ahead and got a remanufactured computer. Here it is. Got a remanufactured computer. Again, I'm not trying to be a parts changer, but in this case, I just want to start from this baseline. I'm going to start truly diagnosing from here, but I want to start with a baseline of a new computer because I have no way of testing this thing. I don't know what's inside of it, how it's built, and Chrysler actually made a black box tester for this and their ignition modules. I don't have one. I don't want to buy one. So I want to start from a baseline with a new computer. So I need to get to work. This is the heat sink, by the way. This is the heat sink, or not a heat sink. This is a bracket that holds the computer to the side of the truck, the fender. There's a transistor in there. That's that traditional transistor that you would see sticking out of the ignition module. Well, that's actually air cooled. There's a little hose right here. And this little hose feeds down into the air intake. See the air intake right there, and this little hose goes right on there, and that little transistor is air cooled instead of heat sink cooled, which is why they get rusty. You'll see that one, even on the remanufactured one, that TO case transistor is rusty, and on the one I pulled out of it's rusty because moist air is coming in and hitting that metal down there and rusting it. I don't think it's a very good design, but seems to work. All right, so I got to get to work. I got to install all this stuff. I think starting with the coil, ignition wires, and then getting the battery tray on, and all the rest of it. Got a lot of work to do here, and we'll see if she runs a little better. This is going to be my baseline to start diagnosing why this thing is bogging down. We shall see. Again, 86 power RAM. It's not a looker, but you know, once you get these things running, they're useful vehicles. I mean, they just run and run and run, and fairly easy to work on. So again, this is Ram University for me. I'm looking forward to learning. Ciao.